How else can we prevent fire explosions in Nigeria? What is actually next for impeached Speaker of the Lagos State House of Assembly? And how honestly did we get here? Well, these are some questions we will be trying to find answers to right here as I bid you welcome to another edition of The Newsroom. The Newsroom is a program brought to you courtesy of Nigeria Info's Newsroom, where we take a critical look at some of the big stories that have made the rounds in the course of the last 7 days. Ufuoma Egbamuno is my name, and it's a pleasure to be here once again representing the Newsroom of Nigeria Info. Well, you heard the news, or just in case you missed out on it, you're just joining the station right about now. Well, let's let you know that 98 people, as at the last count, are dead after a tanker explosion in the Suleja axis of Niger State. Yes, you heard right. 98 people and almost 70 are also injured. That's the one of the biggest stories from last week. The incident actually occurred on Saturday, and of course there's every likelihood we could have more people or more, the number increasing from this, I would argue, very avoidable tragedy. But that will get us talking a bit on the show. But our major focus this evening will be to, of course, talk about the incident from last week right here in Lagos, where the Speaker of the Lagos State House of Assembly was impeached, and all of the political ramifications and implications that it has for Lagos State. But just before we do that, let me run through some of the stories that made the rounds last week. We told you that one of the biggest stories also from last week was the fact that President Bola Tinubu secured a major win in his push for tax reforms, as all 36 state governors finally agreed to support the tax reform bill. We also told you that the Lagos State Police Command advised drivers involved in e-hailing service and others to be wary of their passengers, and that the police also arrested 7 people for killing 2 Uber drivers out there here in Lagos. And the World Bank also predicted that Nigeria's economy is expected to grow by an average of 3.6% this year and next year. Also, of course, the biggest story from Saturday was the loss of, at this moment, 96 people. Was it 98 people? And there's a huge possibility that could increase. Well, joining us at this point in time to talk about the major crux, which is the major crux of the matter we have today on the show, which is the impeachment of former Speaker of the Lagos State House of Assembly, is the Special Advisor Digital Media Strategy to the former Vice President and the presidential aspirant of the People's Democratic Party at the 2023 presidential elections. Demola Rewaju joins us on the show this evening. A very good evening to you, sir. Welcome to the Newsroom.
Thank you very much, Ufuoma. It's my pleasure to be with you.
Yes. Okay, let me leave out the part that I mistakenly sent. I was supposed to send you a message about today's show last week Thursday, and just realized this afternoon that I sent it to an ex-colleague who shares the same name with you. But thank you for making time to join us on the show, irrespective of the fact that you got the invite late.
It's always my pleasure to be with you, and I'm happy to discuss with you anytime.
Okay, but before we get into the main conversation about Lagos State politics, let's quickly talk about the tragedy. In Niger State, it's become. I was having a newsroom editorial meeting this morning, and I talked about the fact that this issue of tanker explosion has been a recurrent decimal even since I was a child. To the point where it feels like it's no longer news, but it is news because human lives are involved. And I was wondering what the level of poverty that would make anyone endanger their life to the part where you're going to scoop petrol, and we have these issues that result to the death of at least almost 100 persons as we speak. It could be more.
I think, for me, it happened before in the past, but the worst that I remember was the one that happened in Egypt.
Hello, Demola.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, it's slightly better now. Maybe you could shift your position a bit. It's like the network is really terrible.
Okay. I hope it's better now.
Yes, it is.
Well, okay, great. So the worst that I had seen, that I heard before now, was the one that happened in JC.
1998, if I remember.
1998, yes. And after that time, there was a lot of public enlightenment on fuel tankers, and then what we then started having was pipeline explosions, where people were carrying out illegal siphoning of petrol. But in the past few months, there seems to have been an escalation. There seems to have been an escalation in these kind of events. Remember that we had one that happened in Niger State recently also. One happened in Niger State recently where over 50 people were also killed. Another that was and then in October last year, 150 people also killed in another similar incident in Jigawa State. And as at that time, President Bola Tinubu said that they would review and enhance fuel transportation safety protocols and so on and so forth, stricter enforcement of safety regulations, highway safety mechanisms, and so on. But like most statements these days, just went into the air. It was a mere platitude. These things are becoming frequent for two reasons. Number one, petrol is now gold. A liter of petroleum is about 1,000 naira. So you can understand why people will see death and will be going towards it. Okay? The second thing is that the worsening poverty in the country has made our people desperate. Before, people used to say that, I'm not going to fight a lion because I want to make money. But now, people are willing to remove money from the mouth of a lion, figuratively. People are willing to dare death in order just to make money, to make ends meet. And that's why you find out these things happen in Niger State, these things happen in Jigawa State. People are rushing to their death just to grab a liter of petrol that they will sell on the black market or that they will use for their vehicles and so on. Children rush to, the intuitive thing to do is to run away from it, but now people run towards it. I think it speaks to the worsening poverty in the country, and I think it speaks to the petroleum price, the price of petroleum products in Nigeria. And I think those are the areas the president needs to look at. In addition to enhancing the safety of the roads, bad roads are, the primary contributors to these things. I think, it's a sad commentary on where Nigeria is. It's a sad commentary on the poverty that our people have found themselves in. And I hope that the authorities look into it and salvage the situation.
I just heard you talk about the fact that petrol has become gold, and that's why people are desperate. But I could disagree slightly with that, knowing that like you mentioned, as far back as 1998, when petrol was even give or take about 30 naira. Well, you could also argue inflation, 30 naira then is probably a lot of money and all of that. But Nigerians have always been desperate. So what's the difference between the desperation back in 98 and the other years?
It's the back-to-back effect of it now. when that incident happened in Chelsea, there was massive public enlightenment that once you see a fuel tanker breakdown, people would scamper away from the scene. That began to happen. People understood that this could lead to their death. The incident in Jesse, for example, was not the issue of a fuel tanker. It was the issue of an entire community involved in trying to get fuel from the pipeline. So that was what we began to have. And, I'm sure that, in enlightened parts of our country, or in more enlightened parts of our country, when a tanker does that, people would naturally run away from it. People park their cars and run away from the fuel tanker because the next thing everyone is thinking is explosion. Now what you have had, and it's the reason, the frequency of it is not, I don't think it's random. Two have happened in Niger. This is the second one that has happened in the last 1 year. One happened in Jigawa, which the death toll was even more than this. 150 people died in that incident. And in each of those instances, as soon as those fuel tankers obtained, people, women, men, children were running to the site of it to go and scoop. It speaks to the worsening poverty. It speaks into this concept of petroleum as gold. I've always felt that government should leave the petroleum business. Let's find it. Let's put this, national fixation on petroleum. People now see it as gold, essentially, and that is what happened in those situations. So in the past, when it used to happen, public enlightenment could stop it, and it was not as frequent. This one, it has happened twice in Niger, happened once in Jigawa in the last 1 year. And I think, it's not coincidence. We can't say that, there are things that are just happening because, the Nigerian thing will be and feel that's how God wants it. If it is happening more frequently now with increased death tolls, then I think the logical thing to do will be to identify what are the factors that is making these things happen. Number one is the bad roads. Number two is petroleum being treated as gold. Number three is the worsening poverty in the country that makes people desperate to put their lives on the line. And I'll give you one more instance. Remember also, over the unitized period, there are stampedes, stampedes that led to death. This is penal. Because I watched the interview of one woman who came out from that stampede. The woman had just seen people trampled to death. She had just seen women and their children trampled to death. This woman was rescued. This stampede, the one in Abuja. And she came out and her first lamentation was, I thought I was going to get rice and other food stuff for the week.
Say that again. I didn't get that. She thought
so
that what?
This came out from this thing. She had been rescued from the stampede. She had just all over her. Her life had just been saved. She had seen one of the most gory incidents of her life. And the first thought that she was thinking, what am I going to eat next week? Because I had thought I was going to get rice here. You have just seen people trample to their death. You have just seen men and women, children, you just see them trample to their death. You've just been rescued from it. The typical Nigerian would be in praise saying, thank God for sparing my life.
True.
This woman was thinking about survival. And that is what is going on here. People see petroleum, they rush to the petroleum, they are trying to scoop it. If it's the person who petroleum knows that he's holding 1,000 naira. So they start to feel that sense of ecstasy. So this is our people in worsening poverty. It is the general poverty in the country that I think the president should.
So, Demola, I think you might also have to change your position a bit. The network is fluctuating, and sometimes we hear you clearly, sometimes we don't.
Okay.
Apologies. Or maybe we'll probably need to call you back, or just change the position because we want to now get into our conversation for Lagos politics.
I've just changed my position. I hope it's better.
It's slightly better now. Did the removal of the former Speaker of the Lagos State House of Assembly, did it come to you as a surprise?
Well, it wasn't exactly a surprise. I mean, we had all heard rumors as at December that he was tongue-lashed at a meeting with the president at Bodilon with other party leaders, that, the president was upset with him. And, we all know that the president is he's not just the commander-in-chief of the Federal Republic, he's also the commander-in-chief of politics in Lagos as far as APC is concerned. And their party is in power in Lagos. So it didn't come as a surprise. Obasa himself he had he wasn't hiding his gubernatorial ambition anymore. He had become more open with his gubernatorial ambition. He was making moves. He was trying to get administrative secretaries to be people who come directly from the legislature and not, people appointed by the executive or people voted in by the people. So he was making those moves, and obviously someone didn't like it, and that someone moved that he should be impeached. Of course, the reasons given publicly are the financial malfeasance on his part, but that's the legitimate reason anyway. But the undertone of this was definitely political, and it's a commentary on how the politics of Lagos State is run.
Talking about the reasons, like you said, of course, the Lagos State government has denied. I'm talking about the executive now has denied being responsible. But the reasons given, misappropriation and all of those allegations, all of those talk did not start today. I remember that there was a period, I think 2 or 3 years ago, 2022, if my memory serves me right, that these allegations were out there in public. The media reported about them, and almost nothing was done at the time. So would I be wrong to say that it's just a question of giving a dog a bad name to hang it?
Well, I think in this instance, the dog actually is guilty. I think, there's definitely, because look, that man is the legislator, he's the head of the number one legislator in Lagos State. Okay? He's not a part of the executive, he's not the commissioner of finance, he doesn't work in the Ministry of Budget and Planning, he doesn't work in the Ministry of Finance. Right? If he was able to carry out that financial heist on Lagos State, then it was definitely with the connivance of the executive. There is no way that a speaker, they are there for lawmaking duties, right? Everything that comes to them from the executive. They don't have any control, right? Even when they appropriate what they are to spend for themselves, the release still has to come from the Ministry of Finance, which is under the Commissioner of Finance, who reports to the governor of Lagos State. The man does not sign checks by himself. The man does not award. He can award the contract. He can say, let's give the contract to XYZ company, but the executive is the one that still has to place the stamp of approval and do the transfer as far as the money is concerned. So what happened in that situation is merely them exposing his own part in the corruption, knowing fully well that if he wants to have a future in Lagos State politics, or if he does not want further problems, that he will keep quiet after he has been removed as speaker over this matter. He will keep quiet, let the wind blow over, and then he will continue his life gently, as previous speakers have done. Right? So, for me, he is guilty of the financial allegations that were brought against him.
But Demola, you're not a judge and you're not a court. You can't just pronounce him guilty like that.
No, I am echoing what his colleagues in the State House of Assembly said. If the State House of Assembly, the legislators who were voted by Lagosians, who are representatives of you and I, as Lagos taxpayers, have said that their speaker is corrupt and they have removed him for that corruption, they have indicted him from that corruption, what we expect this is that the EFCC should pick him up and then he should be prosecuted in the court of law. But as far as the records of the legislature are concerned, he is guilty. In public space, he is guilty because the legislature can issue bench warrants, the legislature can try people, the legislature can make pronouncements on people, they can bar people from holding office. They have removed him from office in this instance, based on the allegations of financial malfeasance brought against him. So I am only echoing what they have said. It's not like what you're saying now. It's the Lagos State House of Assembly that removed their own speaker for financial corruption. That said it. So we are echoing it. It's not like it has left the realm of allegedly. It was allegedly 2 years ago, as you said, when those things were brought. When the media brings it allegedly, when any of the organs of government, either the executive through a white paper or the legislature through a house resolution or the judiciary, if any one of them brings it out and says this person is guilty and we are sanctioning this person, the man has been sanctioned. We can no longer second-guess his guilt. What we need to know now is who were his accomplices, especially in the executive arm of government. Who were the accomplices of that financial crime that happened. And I think that, the EFCC needs to look into that. The EFCC, the ICPC, and every organ that is involved with anti-corruption in Nigeria. They need to look into it and determine his complicity and anyone else who was compromised, who was part of that process.
All right, quickly. Unfortunately, we do not have so much time, but I would ask you this: what's next for Obasa, and how does this affect governance in Lagos State and moving forward?
Well, as for affecting governance in Lagos State, I don't think he has been any source of great comfort to Lagosians. I mean, he has been a part of this cabal, this political cabal all along. So that is it's a good question, because basically he hasn't done anything. I don't see the impact of what he has done for Lagosians. He was fighting for his political future. I think, this is the end of the road for him. He has been in the House for quite a while. He has been Speaker since 2015. He's going to now join a long line of former Speakers of the House, the likes of Ikukoriji Olubi, the likes of Joko Tolapelumi, who were all removed when they refused to play ball with the political lord and master of APC Lagos, which I think is a sad affair. Someone who has been Speaker since 2015 is good enough to be governor if he is trying to aspire to be governor. To punish him for his aspiration, I think it's a problem. But I think, Obasa will see out his days as an elected House of Assembly member representing Agigi constituency. He will see it out, but he is surely not coming back as Speaker this time or in the next House.
All right, I would have to leave it there. But thank you very much, Demola Iwaju, for joining us to have this conversation on the Newsroom.
Thank you very much, Ufuoma. It's always my pleasure.
All right, Lagos. That was, of course, I didn't even add this part, but he is a member of the People's Democratic Party. Of course, if you're a special advisor to the presidential candidate of the PDP, obviously you would be a party member. But Demola is a big PDP member, and he doesn't shy away from it. He is a special advisor, digital media strategy to Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, who's former vice president of Nigeria. Quickly now, let's move on to the next segment of the show. We call it the Newsroom Lagos. And of course, on this part of the show, we try to tell you of some of the big things happening in and around Lagos for you, the Lagos resident, or the Lagosian. And of course, is brought to you courtesy of the Lagos state government. And I can tell you, for all of you who live or work or trade or do business around St. Fimbas Road, Asani Street, Tijani Ashogbon Street, around the Unilag axis, Bagada, Bariga, well, since the 10th of January 2025, which is about 10 days from now, you've been going about your daily activities with ease because of the roads that have been completely fixed by the Lagos state government. Now, these roads provide access to Iwaya, Unilag, Bagada, Bariga, and also houses major institutions in the state, like the University of Lagos, the Federal College of Technology, and the CMS Grammar School, as well as the Yaba College of Technology. Now, before now, there's usually heavy traffic that affects residents, drivers, and even students plying the road. The construction of the road from Unilag would also rid the area of flooding and ensure interconnectivity. Not only that, the reconstructed road will boost the value of properties and ensure improved security and promote socioeconomic activities. Our producer here is laughing at me because I'm struggling to pronounce that word. Well, these things happen, especially when you're hungry. Speaking at the opening of the roads, Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu says the project is driven by a greater Lagos in line with its pillar, the first pillar of the theme's agenda, to ensure that there is an improved quality of life for residents. He also talked about some of the characteristics of the reconstructed road.
We are in the real heart of a big population between Bariga to Akoka to Shomolu to Lagos mainland. This is the heart of all of those development, and I'm sure that with the thickness of the population, it was such a difficult but an important development, road infrastructure that we had to do. All of these areas, they've grown and they've expanded. There has been a need to ensure that transport infrastructure connecting all of these areas with the pace of population, traffic management, economic activity is critical that government come and make life a lot more meaningful to you. And so it is against this backdrop that we have embarked upon this very critical project, which is driven by a commitment to greater Lagos vision, a Lagos that functions optimally for the benefit of its citizens, for the benefit of all its citizens, in line with the first pillar of our Teams Plus agenda, which is road rehabilitation, road reconstruction, drainage improvement, to ensure that our communities experience both in quality of life, in value of real estate, and raise the social economic value of all of our citizens in different parts and nooks and crannies of the city. As always, our focus is on quality of delivery, which certainly is unwavering. This project comes equipped with walkway, service docks, solar panel street lights, which we believe will ensure that we can have a 21st century economy, both during the day and at night life. Bariga, Shomolu, Akoka is known for its bustling commercial activity, is known for its ever-dying, ever-active social, cultural. Like the honorable member of the House said, we know that in Bariga, there are several kids that are creating cultural and theater experience for them. They are one of the best in the city, and we need to continue to encourage them. We also know that in Akoka and Shomolu, we also have bustling innovators and share ideas in technology, in the business of printing. Shomolu is known to be the printing hub of Lagos. It's a commercial printing center for the whole of the state. So all of this commercial activity, they are all interwoven. And so you can see that there is importance, there is a need for us to come to your neighborhood and to come to your area.
Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu speaking there, of course, just about a week ago. The governor also assured residents that no area will be left untouched as it goes about the road projects in the state. He also pleaded with residents to take ownership of the roads and ensure that it is well taken care of. Let's take a listen to the governor.
You want to ensure that development does not remain in one part alone. Development must cut across all nooks and crannies of the state. No part of the state will be left out. We will continue to ensure that development is equitably distributed in all parts of our city. Permit me to sincerely appreciate our construction companies, Metropolitan Construction and First August Nigeria Limited, the contractors who have delivered on this project, even in the very difficult phase, because of the huge population we have in this neighborhood. It was such a difficult experience for them, and we want to thank them for doing a great man's job. We'll also want to use this opportunity to thank our Ministry of Works and Infrastructure, who are consultants, for ensuring that they continue to supervise and monitor and ensure that there's been judicious use of public funds at all times. It is therefore my honor and a privilege that I will formally proceed to formally commission St. Finbar's Road project, which comprises of St. Finbar's Road, Jagumolu Street, Asani Street, Tijani Ashagbon Street, Shogbamu Street, and Dia Street, to the glory of God and to the benefit of all the residents. Let me, as I end, say that this project, like the KBC and all the speakers have said, is for you. It is our own intervention that we have handed over to you. You need to take care of it. the CDC, the CDA, the Resident Association, the Market Association. You need to take care of it. Make sure that you do not clog the drainages. Make sure that people are not just parking indiscriminately on the walkway, on the road. Make sure that they are not selling goods on your walkway. Make sure that they are free of traffic. Make sure that all of the transporters are not blocking your road. These are dual carriageway that will ease your movement and will ensure that you can move from one part of the city, you can move from one part of the Lagos mainland, move to another part of Shomolu to Bariga and Koshofe without any hindrance. Make sure that you take care of these assets for us, because once we leave here, it becomes a public asset, and each and every one of you here have the responsibility to ensure that these public assets are preserved, they are taken care of, and they can last long, for your good and for the benefit, of mankind.
When I started this segment of the show and I was reading out the names of the streets, I got to a point and I got stuck. And I said, you know what? Before I murder those names, because I didn't do a lot of the practice, if my bad, should have done that, but my bad. I just say, you know what? Let me leave it. The governor will help me. He will bail me out. Thank you, Mr. Governor, for bailing me out, and pronouncing the names of the roads quite correctly. And I was also about to ask, how are the people going to take care of the streets, But hey, the governor has given those instances. Don't clog the gutters. If water settles on the road and the water is unable to move past the channel for it, obviously it will make the road get bad earlier than it should when water settles on the road. So that's a very, very good. Don't let these drivers park anyhow or block walkways and all of that. Very, very key and very important. Now, for his part, Chairman of Koshofe local government, Moyoshore Ogunlewe, hailed the governor for what he calls the harvest of projects. Let's take a listen.
Well, it's unbelievable. These are projects that cuts across Shomolu, Bariga, Lagos mainland, and also Koshofe local government. So you can imagine the stretch and also what this infrastructural development will do for the community of Bariga, Shomolu, and Koshofe local government area. There are different areas within my local government that Mr. Governor has really touched the lives of the people. In Ifakosori, for example, some major roads have been constructed by Mr. Governor, and I'm not surprised. It's unbelievable. Mr. Governor is doing so well. I wish him well, and I'm sure he's still going to do more for the people of my local government.
Chairman of Koshofe local government, Mr. Gunle, was speaking right there. And of course, what else can I add? Nothing more. He said it all. The governor has also promised that, this will be it will cut across the rest of the state. So for Koshofe people, it's your turn now. And of course, for other local governments, I'm sure they'll be waiting to get all of these transformational projects. Well, that's how we wrap up the show this evening on the Newsroom. Thanks to my producer, Precious Nena Okon, and of course, Emmanuel Onwoka.
You are listening to your number one for talk.
99.3 Nigeria Info.
99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.